Kings is what we're talking about. From Laws to the V-Block, everybody shout L-A-L-A. Big city of dreams, but everything in L.A. ain't always what it seems. You might get fooled by those other guys in town, but we're down by law. We know our way around too much.
LA is your house. Welcome to this episode 292. I'm here with David and Lewis.
Hey!
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we're back again with another LA Galaxy winless game.
A loss this time. Not
Yes,
not just a
loss.
win this game, a loss.
Yes. And, unfortunately, moving towards our incremental bettering of the team, but not good enough and not fast enough. And it's just frustrating. How are you guys feeling?
Same, frustrated, kind of irritated, and I know Lewis is going to say indifferent, but I don't know if that's the case this time.
Indifferent.
This is a lie. This is a lie.
Okay, well, I think the lie comes from I was pleasantly surprised that we didn't lose 6-0. You know, I think that's what it was.
Lewis felt that way. Yeah, I saw that.
I was pleasantly surprised that we had a chance to win the game because I gave us zero chance.
We had chances.
Yeah.
We had chances to win the game.
Mhm.
Even in the first half, when everybody says we were better in the second half, I thought we were pretty convincing in the first half as well. But again, I mean, that's going on relation of how we already play poorly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll get into obviously in the stats and what they mean or how I'm reading them later on. But I was surprised that we played the game that we did. Obviously, it's still a loss. So it's not like I'm sugarcoating this. There's no silver lining. You're winless in 5 games. Okay. You're not starting off the season well. You went a whole month and counting. You are sitting in 27th out of 29 teams in MLS. You're not doing good. There is no silver lining here. There's nothing. I will say that as the games have gone by, and I think the first one was, I think it was a Vancouver game. A game that, again, we looked not good, but it was the first time Bobby said, I saw slight improvement. It's not a lot.
I mean,
it's like a millimeter movie.
Every game is like 4 inches.
An inch, yeah.
Like it's just so incremental. That's the word I'm using specifically. It's incremental. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's something that you don't notice. It's the frog in the
teams
in the hot water.
Other teams. Yeah, exactly. There's a frog in the hot water, but you have other teams taking like full steps, like full adult human steps, not just like these little inches that are happening.
Of course, there's teams that are leaps and bounds. There's teams that are still struggling just as us. There's a lot of teams that are struggling just as us. But of course, it's different. This is our team. This is what we've been dealing with for so long.
Right. And as always, again, sounding like a broken record, it's not just one season. It's not just, and I said this in the first game of the season. Like, it's not a new season. Here we go again. This is because of what's been going on, because of what happened this past off season, and
it is again a little bit more disappointing than how we left the season last year. I mean, we did
Obviously.
expect this season to be much better. We did expect Chicha to be here. We did expect to have everything to be actually clicking. Look at we're going through a lot of trial and error here. We're dealing with a lot of problems, but then we're also, within all of this horrible coal, I'm just saying, I'm trying to find the diamond in the rough. We are getting some nice, good youthful players that's really pushing themselves and putting themselves on the line to get this going. I'm tired of hearing this whole comment saying that this team doesn't have heart. I see players here that do have heart. It's just unfortunate that we cannot get it to work.
I think that the word of the day or the word of the podcast is going to be frustrating. David already said it. It's frustrating. Everybody. Frustrating. The thing is that
that's been the word of the show for the
last decade. Of the decade. Right. Obviously, everybody, with the exception of, I'm sure, AEG and Chris Klein, who sit on top of their, their pile of money. Everyone's frustrated. Everybody has a reason to be frustrated one way or the other. Obviously, we're all looking for better things, including the team, right? Including Greg Vanney, including the players. And I think Bobby is right in saying that I don't see this team just kind of rolling over and dying. They're genuinely trying, one reason or the other, whether you want to blame the refs, whether you want to blame injuries, whether you want to blame coaching, or whatever it is. This is frustration from all around. It's trying.
Everything, but you can beat these things by being better.
Right, exactly. And I think this is obviously, we're going to be talking about all this. We're talking about the post-game comments, the refs, everything. But as of right now, you look at everything that is going on. The fans are frustrated. So there's obviously a divide. There's whether it's, are they playing good? Are they playing bad? Are we looking at just records?
There's booze at the stadium this game.
At halftime, they were booed.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. So I thought that the first half, again, was a library. Like, it sounded like a baseball stadium on TV. I know, Bobby, you were there. You were in the stands.
Yeah.
But the commentators continually, like, every 5 minutes.
It was only 12 men. But yes, it was a lot quieter from the home opener. Much quieter. But you know what? It was always in relation on how the Galaxy were doing. If they weren't performing and if they weren't doing anything, it got quiet. And then the moment they started attacking, it got very loud. Like,
I think after the goal that the Galaxy scored, it got loud and it stayed loud.
But it was because
the Galaxy were pushing.
And it was at the end of the game. It was at the later
when did they score?
of the game.
In what minute did they score, Lewis? They scored at the beginning of the first half, right? I mean, second half, right?
Second half they had scored.
Galaxy.
No, Galaxy didn't score till the 62nd minute, dude.
63rd, 63rd minute.
Yeah.
Midway. It was 15 minutes later than I thought. I experienced when I experienced it live. I was thinking it was like toward the beginning of the second half, like 40, 48, 49, 50-ish.
It was pretty late.
So then for 15 minutes, for 15 to 20 minutes, the crowd stayed in it. And I do feel like after they scored that goal and then the Galaxy were pushing, the crowd stayed in it. Yeah. Again, there's no organization to anything. It was just chatter. There was just chatter.
There are
it was like crickets,
trying.
like loud
fans,
crickets.
There are fans trying to start up chants. There was a group on the right side of Victoria Block. If you're facing Victoria Block, on the right side, there was like a good section there that was trying really hard. And then you could just see spots around the stadium of people trying to start. There was the Wave trying to start, but there's definitely not enough people for the Wave. And then definitely Cosmo was trying to start some stuff. He was banging on the sidewalls of the field. But yeah, no, I mean, look at that. I mean but that's different. We were down 2-0. Jalen makes the goal. We're all hyped. We're like, come on, we can do this. We can pull it. So that's when the entire stadium jumped on, I mean, definitely. But I mean, when they come in and they're not showing any progress and they're just lulling us to sleep, it's going to be quiet, especially when we don't have the supporter groups there that actually does it, 100% of the time, constantly over and over and over.
Yeah. But Twelman talking, like constantly talking about the crowd being out of it and not being in it.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And like even Josh on Core of the Galaxy was saying that like you could hear Greg Vanney yelling at Raheem Edwards like the entire game because the crowd wasn't there to muffle any of that out. And in relation to the protest pregame that was happening, very sparse. Bobby, I think you said there was probably about a dozen people.
No, I think there's a little bit more than a dozen. I have the video. We're playing it right now. I think there was but it didn't look more than 30 to me.
But certainly
it was
much
less than the first home
week.
opener. Yes.
Yeah.
I think the attendance was, like 1,000 or 2,000 less than the home opener.
That
in the protest?
No.
Oh,
He's saying the attendance. He's saying the attendance.
The
attendance of the game.
No, I'm talking about the attendance.
No, I know. He's just
the protest.
He's just saying in relation.
Okay.
But yeah. No, the protest was very well. From what I saw, it was very small. I actually got there like literally at 4:30 or a little bit before 4:30. So I only got to see them in their little what I would call a pen, I guess. And But I'm pretty sure like everybody that came was there. I don't think people left. You know what I mean? Because I'm just saying I got there late. I didn't see them arrive like I did the first time around. That's all I'm saying. But yeah.
I would imagine the most people would be there probably like 15 to 20 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah. Or I would assume they would stay there at least 10 minutes after kickoff. Because, they want to be seen by fans and stuff. Because they're facing the stadium. They're not facing the parking lot anymore. I mean, they have like 4 or 5 people facing the parking, like not the parking, but, the oncoming traffic.
The line of people coming in,
traffic, and then everybody else is facing the stadium.
Yeah, so, because they're directing it at Chris Klein, obviously. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? You think Herculez Gomez is going to come and join the protest next week? There's more visibility. There's starting to be more visibility. We've seen the articles all over the place. There was one in The Athletic this past week outlining all of the things that we already know. Obviously, Herculez Gomez went on Football Americas to talk about, just the decline of the team since Chris Klein has been in charge. And we'll get to some of the stuff that he said a little bit later on. But I will say that we all again,
know already. I mean, it's word for word from everything that's been said.
Yeah, but it's again, the way that it impacts the the product on the field, the way that it impacts the atmosphere in the stadium and the product that comes across on TV, it's showing. I do think that it is showing. The big test is going to be the next home game against LAFC. Obviously the Galaxy are going to be away to
what
Houston.
What test are we talking about? Like the test about what? Like,
no, I mean, there's going to be a lot more people showing up to that game, even without the main supporter groups. I mean, there's going to be people buying those tickets and showing up.
Yeah, so, I mean,
that's what David is saying. The test is like the attendance, if it'll go back up.
But I don't think so. I mean, I don't think of it as a test really, because it's kind of like.
It's not a test. He's just saying people are going to wane. Silence? People are going to wane and get over it. Like some, not everybody.
No. I don't think so. As far as attendance, I can pretty much all but guarantee a sellout. Unfortunately, most of those tickets are going to be going to LAFC fans.
No, what I'm talking about is the test that the Galaxy fans and supporter groups are going to have in wanting to continue with the boycott, knowing that the LAFC fans are going to be there to show up, the team, the supporters, all of it. They're gonna basically bring the atmosphere to the game. The supporters
won't show up,
and it's gonna be.
I don't think so.
No, the supporters won't show up.
No, hold on, and it's gonna be on the Galaxy fans that are there, that are part of the supporter groups that are not there to organize. I think
that's gonna happen
to keep from starting up more chants and things like that.
I do think that the regular fan or the non-corner supporter group fans that show up all the time, I think they will actually make noise in this game, because you'll hear the LAFC fans chanting, and that's going to be a point of contention where everybody's going to be like, hell no, what the hell, and then everybody's going to try to get into it. So I definitely believe, and I can probably guarantee that's going to happen. The chance will happen in that game.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
for sure.
The buzz will be there, but as far as like, we're going to just go not boycott this game, I'm not entirely sure about that, because I know that there were a lot of people that were already boycotting the Rose Bowl, which I thought was, probably the bigger game just because of, that event. It's the season opener.
It's more impact than the Rose Bowl one, though.
I think so too. It will make,
because in the Rose Bowl, I don't think it would have been noticed as much. I really don't. I mean, it would be so many.
And
fans.
I agree with that. No, and I agree with that. But I also think that this is probably one of those where it's like it really shouldn't be taken like, well, did the boycott work or is it not working based on this game alone? I think
it's still really early.
It's a really weird barometer.
It's a big visible.
Which is why I think that it's a skewed barometer. It's one of those where like you can definitely spin it in a way where like, there's buzz, or it's still traffical regardless of what's going on. The stadium's still going to be full, and you can spin it in that direction. But I think ultimately, if the Galaxy were not to win against Houston this weekend, the Galaxy could very well be 0-7, but we're going to be winless in the first 7 games. So the fact that happens adds on to the crap that is already being, thrown on this team, being winless in 5, her talking about what's going on, the frustration, obviously, from the fans and everybody with the players and the coaches and everything, it's going to continue to go on. So if anything, like maybe the barometer of what's happening may be skewed, but after the game, if the Galaxy are not 0-7. I keep saying 0-7.
Yeah.
But if they are
also if they get
winless in 7 at that
their
point,
ass handed
then
to them.
at that point,
also
it actually may be not a turning point for, like, I think it gets amplified even more that you just lost to your rival. It would be the first time that LAFC would win at Dignity Park.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff that is kind of like going against the Galaxy here, and it might actually amp up the supporter groups, like after, if in fact the Galaxy don't do what they're supposed to be, or what we would have liked them to do. So if anything, this actually may play better for the boycott after.
Well, yeah,
again,
I mean, it's obvious.
Depending on what the
we've always
results are.
said the boycott. The only way the boycott benefits is the Galaxy does poorly. They can't do well because then
I think the pressure goes up even higher. I think the pressure goes up even higher on the front office, on AEG, on the board when this happens. To be honest, I mean, I'm not saying that change will happen.
No,
I'm just saying the pressure.
There will be pressure because to be honest, I personally don't think there's that much pressure right now, but there definitely will be after that game if there is a big.
I think there's a lot of. I think there's pressure, but
I think it's building. It's not where we want it to be.
Building.
Yeah, it is building because, as you said, Herc is starting to talk about it more. The Athletic is just written about it. It's obviously visible now in home games where it's like, yeah, you know what? Attendance is not exactly what the boycotters would have liked. I think they would have wanted half the stadium full rather than just sporadically seeing, empty seats. We're still the 4th best or 5th best attended game this past weekend, if I recall correctly. I think a San Jose fan said, dude, there's a boycott going on in LA, and they still pulled out 22,000 while San Jose has really nothing going on and it can only pull out 8,000. You kind of answered your own question, dude. San Jose has nothing going on.
No, I mean, there's worse teams than us, but I mean, that's not what we're doing. Right. We're not doing that kind of comparison. That's not.
Yeah, but obviously, I myself would have liked to see a little bit more of an empty stadium, at least half full. And again, maybe the dog days of MLS, if this team continues to play the way they do, I personally don't think. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think
let's wrap this up. We repeated this many times.
I was going to ask a different question, but I'll save it for next week when we preview that game after the Houston game. So
all right,
let's talk about the loss to Seattle. I think we've already said kind of that we felt like they showed some fight and stuff. Obviously, I think one of the bigger surprises in the lineup apparently was Jonathan Klinsmann. It was reported that he had broke his finger in Portland, and he later confirmed he did break his finger, and that he was a game time decision, or like he got cleared to play the day before. The big signing or the big buzz around the Galaxy this week was their acquisition of international roster slot. And so everybody started speculating, is this going to be Isco? Is this going to be, dang it, I can't think of the guy's name now. Farai Matatu coming back to the Galaxy after, a lot of his visa issues. But no, apparently the Galaxy signed goalkeeper Novak Mikovic. And we started to kind of speculate, like, what does that mean? Does that mean that Klinsmann might be out for a prolonged period of time, and they made a panic decision? I still think that it's possible that they made a panic move in potentially signing this goalkeeper and having to go out and get an international slot for him. But Klinsmann was in the starting lineup.
Look at, he finally has his opportunity. He's not going to let it go. He's gonna be on the field, broken finger or not.
Kudos, for sure. Kudos to him for playing on, with the injury, with a broken finger. Obviously, I thought he played okay. I thought he could have done a lot better on that second goal that Seattle scored. The one that what was that guy's name?
Leo Chu. Leo Chu was he
Leo
was
Chu,
the whole problem the whole time. I said this in Balls and Beers last week. I don't know why Vanny was not listening to our show. He would have saved a lot of time and goals if he just listened to me. But you know what? Look, I get it. I get that everybody's upset with him for letting that one in. I can see that. The shot was kind of blocked. His visibility was kind of blocked with Neil. He should be there though. But it happens. I'm to be honest, I'm way more mad about Caligari leaving Chu the first goal. Like days away from him.
He didn't really leave him.
He just never caught him.
He got stepped on.
That was the second goal. No. That's the second goal. That's the goal.
That was the second goal.
The first goal, he didn't mark him. He didn't follow him. And then Chu did.
Well, Caligari should have been listening to this.
Yeah.
Bobby, put up a Portuguese version of the show.
Dude, I was gonna
use like ChatGPT to do a Portuguese version of the show. That way he can listen to us.
I was gonna make a mock or Portuguese, but it would come off completely wrong. No, but look at
it would just revert to Cholo like you always do.
And a lot of people gave Neil guff on that first goal as well, that he didn't dive. But dude, if you look at that overhead shot of that pass, that is what a beautiful assist. Yeah. Like butter on bread. It's in your spot. It goes around Neil and freaking turns back into Morris as if he has a magnet on his foot. Incredible, amazing. I got to give it to him. The guy killed us.
Good players make good passes and good runs.
The guy killed us. That's all I got to say.
Obviously, Joveljic gets to start here, back in the lineup, and I thought that he was kind of on an island, for the most part. Again, he's not finding the game. He's not finding the ball. Maybe Judd was a better pairing.
Oh, I love Judd. I like everything he does.
Yeah, and Judd and
I look at.
Say what you will about all the excuses, and we'll talk about those when we get to the post game. But Preston Judd in his post game said, "Look, I have to apologize.
It's my job. It's my job to score goals. I'm a forward. I'm a 9. That's where I live or die is scoring goals, and I know that. So, of course, I feel bad after the game, and I wanted Coach to get at least a point, maybe 3 points out of this game, and I know we deserved it. So I felt bad. I know I didn't need to apologize, but it was just in the moment. Yeah.
I'm not doing my job.
Different. That's very different from the kind of excuses you guys are trying to bring up. But no,
not us.
Later on, I'm saying, but Judd, no, that was a different thing. That he's taking responsibility. Instead of making excuses, taking responsibility. And you know what? Look at, he's young, he's new, he doesn't have much minutes, but look at, he's doing a really good amount of work. I was upset that he shot directly at the keeper, but look, we need someone with he needs more skill, he needs more finesse. It'll get there. He's not there yet. Of course, a player with much more experience would have shot that far post and maybe have gotten it in around that keeper. But I was frustrated with that in the moment, but I'm not mad at him. I enjoyed his game. He puts a lot of effort. He puts a lot of heart. And then he pushes. He's ready to fight defenders. He's ready to push his body into them. He's ready to shove them. He's ready to elbow them. And that's what we need in a striker. No little.
Make himself a menace.
I'm done with all these ballerinas.
Yeah, when I come on, I just want to provide a spark. I want to bring the energy. I know what I can do on the field, and I can bump the defenders around and just show the energy that we needed that second half, and that's all I came to do. Was unlucky to score a goal, but I think it's going to be coming soon. I know what I can do on the field, like I said, and it's going to be coming soon.
Speaking of ballerinas, we did see Douglas Costa come into the game. I thought that he came in, and I thought he was fine. He didn't light the world on fire. He did
better than expected.
Yeah, far more effective than Efrain Alvarez would have been. I would much rather see
absolutely
Douglas Costa come in as a sub than Efrain Alvarez. Efrain, an unused sub, by the way, where we saw Chris Mavinga come in, we saw Daniel Aguirre come in. Right. We saw Johnny Perez come in. and obviously Costa and Judd, but no Efrain Alvarez. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago that maybe he lost his
maybe that was the
spot,
episode
and I
that they
think that's
actually
the case.
listened to.
We'll see.
It's. I mean, the thing
selectively, they're listening to.
Obviously, I'm not going to rip into Efra any more than we have been. If you listen to us, we know how we feel about him. I will say that obviously we're going to want to see what happens in the next couple weeks, but the fact that you needed a goal and he wasn't used, obviously it's it's a big that's a big sign, and it's not a good one if you're Alvarez. So we talked about all last season about Vanny being very, very stubborn about playing Kevin Cabral. Right. That he was basically, sure, he put himself into good spots. Sure, he had good runs, but the finishing product wasn't there. He would lose the ball. It was no production coming from Kevin Cabral, but eventually losing his starting spot, but still featured in quite a bit of the game, was always one of the lowest rated players. And all question Vanny as to what's going on here. Why in the world are you not seeing what we're seeing?
I thought he was staying at Vanny's house for a while. I thought he was, like sleeping over, having an own room, taking care of him so well.
Yeah. So obviously we know that Vanny saw what everybody else saw. I mean, he got rid of him in the offseason, so he's well aware that, he wasn't it. But it took an entire season for that to happen. He was benched maybe once. So this is where I'm kind of throwing caution to the wind here. Is it just a benching?
Yeah, maybe. That's what I'm thinking.
Or is this more of okay, hold on a second. Like, I can't be stubborn about this guy, right? Like, he's had time. Definitely had more time than Kevin Cabral. Albeit he's still young, but it's still like, I mean, maybe he realized whatever it is that we hope he was going to do, maybe he's now realizing it ain't gonna happen.
Think about how many starts Efrain Alvarez had last year under Greg Vanny. It's not many. He would sometimes come in as a sub. I don't think he was very consistent as a sub either. So I don't think that this is a situation where Greg Vanny sort of has blinders, or he's going to be stubborn and like, oh, I'm going to send a message to this player and this is going to be like his wake up call, and then I'm just going to keep using him like always. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he has this much investment in Efrain Alvarez. I think he doesn't know how to. He doesn't see where he fits on this team, and he's trying to give him an opportunity to show him something while we're missing personnel and while we're trying to find a missing piece. And Efrain Alvarez has not been able to show him that. And I think that his, obviously his time is up. So, I think we say this every week, but I don't think we need to get too deep into what Efrain Alvarez brings to this game.
No.
So I think, but I will say it is refreshing to see, like, he's on the bench. He didn't get put into the game. So, which means that there's, no outside forces, like, Efrain Alvarez must play in this game, unless he's like, screw it. I'm not.
I don't know. I mean, maybe
to those outside forces.
Just because Costa's back, I think he just already sees it on the paper. Oh, better choice. Boom. Just in general.
Yeah. I mean, that's a gamble.
But it is
a
gamble,
but
choice.
yeah, you're right.
But you are. But I think. But I think you are. As far as investments, you are more heavily invested in Costa than you are Alvarez just on salary
absolutely.
Alone. Like, you're not going to.
He's been gone for a while. We got to get our money's worth.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if investment is the right word for that, because if you're talking about investment, like Douglas Costa, that money's already spent. We're not going to recuperate any money out of that. That's a loss, no matter what. No matter how good he plays, if he's lights out and scores a ton of goals from now until the summer, we're not going to sell him for a profit. He's gone. He's just going to go. Efrain Alvarez, on the other hand, that is somebody who you put time, money, all that stuff into. You just converted him to TAM, so now his roster hits on a different designation. You have an opportunity to sell him and make up for your losses or even turn a profit on him. And remember, he is a homegrown, so we get 100% of that money.
The thing is
so
I'm
the investment is
sure.
more on Efrain Alvarez and not on Douglas Costa. Douglas Costa is a loss no matter how much you slice
I think Lewis is talking about the short we get like Alvarez has been a way higher investment in the overall scope of this whole thing, but it's just look, we have this guy, we're wasting our money, he's not on the field, he's just sitting there, and he's supposed to be a great player. So you're healthy,
what I think about selling Efra, I have to imagine that they were trying to do that in the off season. You had an opportunity to do that a couple seasons ago. There were offers on the table, but the Galaxy overvalued him. They completely overvalued him and they overplayed their hand. And now they're probably going to get less than what, if they end up selling him, they're going to get completely less than what they were originally asking for, and probably less than what other teams were offering before them, because his stock has certainly fallen since that time period. It may even be a possibility. I don't know how long he's under contract, but it may very well be a possibility that he may just be gone. Right? He may just like leave without being as a free agent.
They just re-signed him when they did the young DP stuff and the under 22 stuff. They had just extended his contract. So I think he's there until 2026.
Yeah, so
if I'm not mistaken. So it's a long-term thing. Like we need we need him to perform so that we can sell him.
That ain't happening, but I think like if you do offload him wherever it is, and again, I don't think an MLS team picks him up. I think it's going to be a Liga MX team, and if that does happen, it's definitely going to be for less than what the Galaxy originally had hoped for, and definitely a lot less than that he's currently like being valued at. I'm not sure if the Galaxy still hold him in such high esteem, but you know. It is what it is right now. And,
let's send him to Orlando like we did Jose Villarreal.
Whoever. I at this point, just offload him. Unfortunately, whoever. I don't care. You need and obviously time is running out, and the fact that there is no rumor, there is nothing that's being said.
Less than 2 weeks, right?
They're less than 2 weeks. I think like 3. So you're pretty much done. Whatever it is that you needed, that final spot, that winger that you're sorely missing.
To the last minute. I mean, I don't think it's happening either, but I don't think it's happening either.
I mean, there's nothing out there. There's nothing. Let me wait. So
there's Messi.
Tell me.
Bring it up when he's here.
If I'm.
Yeah. 400 million. It's an easy thing to counter.
So this seems a little odd to me, and I don't know how to read this. I don't know how to analyze this. Maybe you guys can help me out. Maybe you guys thought something differently, or maybe something similar. So David had brought up the new goalkeeper that we had signed. I have to kind of agree that this was a panic move. Why in the world you would have to go out and buy an international spot in order to get what we assume it's a loan, by the way. It is a loan. So it's not like he's there, multiple years. It's a loan for this season. So maybe Bond is out longer than originally thought as well, because and so I think they're half a panic buy. But here's where, aside from having to go out and buy an international roster spot, having to, spend more GAM money to acquire said spot for a goalkeeper that probably won't start. I found it weird because I have to assume that the Galaxy were not looking for a goalkeeper this season. They were set in that position. Yeah. They had Bond, they had Klinsmann, and in a week time, they said this guy, and they did it. Obviously, I'm not trusting the scouting of this team. Period. Let alone in a week period of time, they were not looking at this guy. This guy could not have been on the radar. And B, if you can do that with this, how could you not do it for a winger? It's just odd.
This is
Well,
more of
I
an
think
emergency.
a goalkeeper is harder to find. Yeah, a goalkeeper is easier to find, I think, than a winger that's
But
actually
there's also
productive and all that stuff.
more wingers available than there are goalkeepers.
Yeah, maybe.
And this is again.
Somebody made a good point. I don't remember if it was Alex Ruiz or it was Jay Hernandez. Mentioned that this goalkeeper is coming from the same club that. What is it? The New England goalkeeper that's like the front runner for goalkeeper of the year right now. He's from the same club, and he is. Was it him? You might have been right behind him. So I mean, that guy's been pretty lights out this season so far.
Again, I just find it odd that's in a position that they weren't looking for, were able to find and sign him in less than a week's time, where the other position where you've been presumably looking for him this entire year, this offseason, you haven't been able to pull. There's like just no rumors. There's nothing going on. There's no whispers, nothing going on about a possible signing. And that deadline is approaching. And it seems to me that they're going to miss. And if that happens, well, you're pretty screwed, obviously. So, if you're missing that piece, is that the excuse now? They didn't get it. they didn't get that piece, so now that's why they're not good. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after that deadline passes, and if nothing happens, because I think that is a huge hit. I think that is a massive failure as an organization. If they're not able to find that one position that everyone knew.
We knew what the cards we were dealing with. We knew that,
right? Which is why
this is an organization that's not good at these things,
right?
So finding that right piece to fit into this team that's going to suddenly make them successful, that's going to suddenly, cause them to get the calls, that's going to suddenly like unlock that offense. It's fool's gold.
As I said earlier, I was surprised in the way that we played. I thought we would be run off the field. I didn't think we had a chance in this game. Turns out we actually did have a somewhat decent chance in the game. So before we get into the post-game comments and the controversies surrounding it, I'll just go ahead and get into the stats, which again were very, very surprising to me. Did not expect the Galaxy to hold as much possession as they did. I thought Seattle would be a little bit more proactive in their approach, but 62 to 38% ball possession in favor of the Galaxy. Here is another eye-opening stat that obviously as you watch the game, it's not surprising. Just surprised that it happened. Shots. The Galaxy put up 28 shots. 28!
Yeah, man.
That's a lot.
That's what I've been
That's a lot of shots that
you're
putting up, especially against a Seattle side. Compared to only 9 for Seattle. Now, here's where it gets a little skewed, and here's where we've made this argument in the past against weaker opposition. 4 of the shots that Seattle took were blocked by a defender, so it didn't even get a chance to get near the end line to be put on goal or anything, which is, yes, defensively, that's a good thing. However, 3 of them were on target, and 2 of those went in. We had said if the Galaxy were playing better competition against, say, Vancouver or Kansas City, those would have been losses, right? They would not have been draws. They would have been losses because a good team would make the most of their chances. Well, there it is. The Seattle will and is a team that will capitalize on your mistakes. You just need to make one, they'll make you pay for it. And Seattle did that, right? The Galaxy defense didn't play bad, but Seattle capitalized on their mistakes.
On the little cracks that they had.
This is...
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall the defense wasn't all that bad. It took one really good shot from it Chu? I think it was Chu who took the shot. Not really sure if it took a deflection. I kind of felt that Klinsmann could have done better on that. I thought it was kind of weird. I didn't think it had a chance to go in, but
like literally a second behind it.
Yeah, I think maybe
It was the bone in his finger.
No,
that,
I don't think he.
You know, it could
I
have
don't
been
think he
longer.
touched the ball. I
had they not
don't think Jalen even. I don't think Jalen even touched it. I'm not
he
sure
didn't.
because I've looked at the
Yeah,
replay a few times.
I'm not sure if it took a
Klinsmann
slight.
dove for it and reached for it and was just out of reach.
It was just out of reach. But yeah, it just looked very weird in that I thought Klinsmann maybe
What
he
I'm
saw
thinking
it
is
too
Jalen
late
was
to
blocking
react.
his view because he was up defending because they do
Maybe.
they do show a shot from
Could
the
have been.
back of the net and you can see Leo Chu kicks the ball right where he gets in front of Jalen and that's when Klinsmann's just a little slightly late.
And for what it's worth, credit where credit's due. It was whether it's on accident or not, it was a perfectly placed shot. I think again an inch in any other direction, it's probably not going in.
But also after he did step on Caligari's heel, nobody stepped up to him because there was such open space for him to just run.
It's a little bit of a broken play. It's a little bit of a luck on Seattle's part, but again, good teams make their own luck, right? There's no excuse there. They make their own luck. The other goal was again, it's a defensive mistake, and it was a good team playing a really good, playing good, well in the final third, right? It's just a perfectly placed ball to Jordan Morris, who's all by himself, and it's an easy tap.
I'm in love with that for him. Assist. I'm just like, I'm so in love with that thing. Oh my god,
pasazo,
dude! It is a pasazo. That's a pasazo for me for sure.
Yeah.
And there's your 2-0. You go into halftime. The Boo Birds come out. Which I think is funny.
Loud boos, right?
Like loud boos. I mean, you heard them very clearly. You couldn't hear anything else on the broadcast.
The boos
definitely heard the boos.
The boos happened actually not at halftime, but after the second goal. Like right after the second goal, everybody booed. I booed.
Right.
And then moving into the half, there was a little bit of boos, but it wasn't as big as once we got scored on.
But I think it's just, to me, I kind of rolled my eyes and laughed when I heard them because it's like, so what are you doing there? But you go ahead and continue to go to the game
supporting the team.
Keep the
status
quo.
You can go and voice You can go and voice your.
Yeah. But yes, I mean the Boo Birds should definitely.
Well,
Yeah, but I do believe the Boo Birds, and I've always said this, because I know there's some people that say I'll never boo my team. No, you need to boo your team. You need to let them know your displeasure of how they're performing. So that's not that I don't have an issue with the fans booing. I think they definitely should when it's called for. And it's definitely called for. It's also again I don't think the team was
well in that first half as well. Like
again, I don't think we did like spectacular, but I just don't think
we did better and we did have the shots.
I don't think it was horrible. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was a horrible first half. And again, I'm hoping that it's not just toward the team, it's toward a little higher up.
That was about the team, dude.
So 28, yeah, I know it was 28 shots for the Galaxy. 17 of those, 11 of those were blocked. 8 were on target. Only 1 went in. 9 were off target. Expected goals from this game, 2.51. 2.5 for the Galaxy. I do believe that is the highest that they've put up all season, if I recall correctly. I don't remember us ever getting higher than 2. So I believe 2.51 is the highest expected goal. So again, improvement, not really saying much. You're still losing. What we're, not sure anybody wants to hear moral victories, but yes, it is. It is April. So again, you don't win anything.
I don't call this a moral victory at all. I don't.
No.
Okay. 1.04 for Seattle. So a whole 1.5 goals better than Seattle. But again, who's more clinical?
Not on the scoreboard.
Not on the scoreboard. Who's more clinical?
Useless stat. God damn it.
It's not a useless stat.
It really is.
It isn't. You just have to know how to read it. And again, this is a long-term stat. So again, if you're going by what Bobby's saying, incremental, this is a big indicator of whether or not your offense is.
Maybe in August they'll get a win.
So maybe in August they'll get a win.
On their goal, expected goals.
It'll be sooner than that, I hope.
Yes, they'll definitely win before August. 2 big chances for both sides. Seattle missed one of their chances. I don't remember what that one was actually, but the 2 big chances for the Galaxy. I'm gonna have to say obviously Jalen Neal's because it's basically a tap in, and then I have to imagine it's Preston Judd's. Those are the two that I'm thinking of, and those are the only two that I can really say because I'm looking at 28 shots.
There were some shots from
the second one that Jalen had where he like caught it on the far post, but it went over the goal.
And there was a lot of outside shots that brought no threat at all. It went just directly to Fry's hands.
And this is where I was gonna say where like some of these stats and including the expected goals, although I do think that the expected goal from Jalen Shaw was like 0.4. So that's actually kind of high. I'm trying to look for Jalen.
I mean, let's talk about Jalen Shaw really quick. I mean, the reason Jalen got it was because Raheem,
he's in the right place at the right time.
Yes, but also Raheem did his hypnotist ball pass again, where it spun and the keeper just drops it all over again. I mean, I thought Klinsmann was the one with the broken finger, but Fry just fumbled that all over the place, and it just reminded me of that one. They don't call these assists because I'm assuming because once the goalie touches it, it's not an assist. But it goes back to that one other Edwards non-assist. Where it spun and that keeper was just like, whoa. And it was just the same. Yeah, that was the one that Leardom, the same freaking thing. Scored. Yeah, Leardom scored it, and then Jalen was on top of this one, which is I'm super happy for him, and
I'm super happy for him.
Pumped, and he ran. He was telling the fans like, "Let's go." He was super pumped. It was really dope.
I mean, my first MLS goal. Obviously, I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to go to the corner flag and do whatever I could do, just express all my energy towards that goal. But I was aware we were down 2 at the time, so had an obligation to run back and, just kind of hype up the crowd a little bit, let them know we're back in the game. We're going to keep fighting.
And his mom, Sarah, blacked out.
She did say that she doesn't remember the goal because she blacked out. She did say that, yeah.
What I love about Jalen scoring, and I'm sure that everyone here had a similar reaction. Obviously, I wasn't around you guys, but I obviously jumped and cheered when I saw that it was Jalen who scored. I'm assuming that you guys had something similar where you guys got.
Well, I was in the stadium, so I definitely got up and freaking yelled.
Yeah, of course.
I was beaming. I was beaming ear to ear to like, oh my god, Jalen scored! Yeah. I can't believe it.
And what made me smile, obviously, is that we all know Sarah. Right, we all know her presence. We all know what she does for.
We covered her on our first issue of magazine. Still available online. Go get it now.
Like she's the unofficial official, team mom.
Yeah, she's the team mom.
Everybody knows who she is. So obviously, we watched Jalen grow, and we all have rooted for him. And I'm sure that there was, and I think that's probably part of the reason why it became even noisier after the goal was because we watched this kid grow. We want this kid to obviously succeed. Like he's like, it's obviously because of Sarah. He's a little different. Like, as Bobby said, maybe we're the Theos and Theas. But it was really great to see him getting his first career goal. Hopefully more to come. I think it's pretty safe to say, and it's not because of the goal, but I think it's pretty safe to say that he has locked up that starting spot.
Yeah, I believe so. Mavinga's not coming back in over him. But
well, what about Sega?
Well, Sega,
I don't think so.
No, I don't. Not right away. At least I don't know what training. I don't know what training would have to consist of, but not right away.
Yeah.
I think Sega. I don't know what Greg Vanney's philosophy on that is. I know there's a couple coaches and managers throughout different sports that don't believe a player should be losing their starting spot due to injury or something else. Obviously, we know Sega's not injured. We know that he's back in France dealing with something. We don't know what it is, but something's going on for personal reasons. Obviously, it's something big. It's something major for him to be missing this much time.
This long, yeah.
But
I mean, just overall, I mean, look at Jalen. You can see he's put the effort, he's put the minutes, and he's actually put a lot of skill on the field. So it's really it'll be ignorant and dumb to take him out at this point. I mean, especially when I think he's solid.
I think he makes a mistake
here and there, whatever. But I mean, he's pretty solid overall.
I understand the philosophy of a starter should not be losing their starting spot due to injury. However, I also tend to lean more toward you play your hot hand. If this is working, you have to keep going with it, regardless of, if the other guy is better or whatnot. Both. Yeah, both. I agree. So we'll see what happens. But okay, so Jalen Neal's expected goal from that shot was .40. I don't know. I'm not even sure why it's even as low as that. But point I'm trying to make here is there's a lot of
it looked like it phased through the goalie.
Yeah.
No, he dropped it. He dropped it literally in front of him. So,
yeah, he was literally at the right place at the right time. And it was on Fry. It was Fry's fault that he was able to get the ball. And I was like, oh, crap. And so, he was, decided to just.
So that Fry mistake, and Jalen being in the right spot at the right time was what got us our goal.
Oh, also, I'm going to go back. And Raheem's hypnotic pass.
And Raheem's hypnotic pass.
That was a shot. That was not a pass. That was a shot, and Fry just muffed it. It wasn't a pass
to me.
Well, that's how hypnotic it was, Lewis. It looked like a shot to you.
Exactly like the other shot for Leardom. It looked exactly like that. To me, it's a floater.
It was a cobra.
Look like a shot, but anyways,
it was a cobra. It was just hanging out there, like. Ooh.
So, it spins.
But the point is that aside from the goal and aside from Preston Judd's miss. Was there any other point in the game or any other shot where you saying, "Oh, that should have been it. Oh, that was close"? Because I didn't think of it.
I can't think of another situation where there should have been a goal.
Yeah. So
Dayon had a pass early in the game where he ran onto a through ball and he missed.
But it. So it didn't really count as a shot.
I mean, we had. Well, I mean, I guess not shot, but I mean, we had that one moment early in the game where it was blocked literally 3 times in front of the box until they finally cleared it. Do you guys remember that? It's super early. I'll be playing the replay right now.
I actually missed the first I don't remember if it was 5
that I don't
10
remember.
minutes.
Yeah, there was okay.
But I don't remember that.
So there was a shot by Boyd. And it was deflected, and then I think it's Memo. I can't see. I'm fast forwarding it too much, but there was 3 shots, and the goalie blocked it, a defender blocked it, and 2 defenders blocked another shot. It was like 3, 1, 2, 3, and it just seemed how can we not get this in right now? That's how it was.
Yeah,
there were moments. I mean, but they were scrambly moments. They weren't pretty. They weren't someone coming into the box on attack on their own. Because even at the end, there was a lot of moments in the box where it just got wild. And there was this one, I think it was our last opportunity where one of Seattle's defenders kicked it out of this big jumbled mess. And I just see 1 foot out in the air by everybody's head. And I'm like, how the hell did that get out of there? But yeah.
Yeah. No, Bobby, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, is that the Galaxy's opportunities were jumbled scrambles, and in that goal, it was, a mistake, and thankfully Jalen was able to pounce on it. Seattle's were measured; they were deliberate. They were
it's a different,
well put together.
Yeah, I don't need
and executed. It wasn't just and
that's that's the word. Execution was there, and again, that's a sign of a good team. And right now, the Galaxy are not, so they're not executing. If you're looking at the expected goals from by halves in the first half, the Galaxy had expected goal 0.55, while Seattle had an expected goal of 0.61. So again, it's all about execution because they're practically even in the first half. They created. Pretty much the same amount of chances, but Seattle executed and converted the chances that they were given, where all the Galaxy did not. Now in the second half, it's complete. I don't want to say domination, but it was obviously one-sided. 1.96 for the Galaxy and 0.43. So Seattle's expected goal actually dropped even lower in the second half.
That's the point where Seattle just kind of sits back and
because they have no
pressure.
They're not, but they could also, and we know that the Galaxy are very, very susceptible to the counterattack. Their transition defense is one of their Achilles heels. So, that easily could have happened. It didn't. The Galaxy, for what it's worth, tried to step on Seattle's throat, but just were not able to do so.
Well, do you have a stat for this, Lewis? And maybe you don't, but you got to bring it up. My goodness, this team is unable to do any kind of set play at all. Corner kick, free kick, it all turns to shit. It turns into nothing. It's horrible. They can't convert anything. They can't even get it on frame. It's so
honestly,
frustrating.
Bobby, honestly, I don't think the Galaxy have been good at set pieces since Omar Gonzalez left.
Yeah, but I mean, sure. I mean, that might be true. But sure, man. But Jesus, Luisus. I mean, get this on the training ground, Manny. What the hell is going on right now?
Who was it that was going to take? There was one set piece where I think it was Memo and Ricky were lining up to take it, and I think Memo took the kick, and I think it hit the wall, and I was just like, God, what a freaking waste.
Oh wait, was that the one that went rocketed up? I don't know if it would hit the wall. It just like rocketed up in the sky.
Or maybe it was that one. Yeah, maybe it was. I remember one just thinking like, God damn, what a waste.
So I'm not entirely sure what kind of stat you were looking at. I did want.
I just wanted to say we suck on set pieces.
I never.
That's it.
That's the stat. We suck.
That's the stat.
We suck at set pieces. Jeez.
The only. I wanted to do this after, and I think I said it after the first game, and I wanted to just keep track of this, but I never did it. However, and there's two things that I wanted to do. One, I wanted to. I guess I can always look back. I'm just lazy to do it, but I could still do it. Obviously, the stats are still there. How many corners are we taking? How many goals have
a ton
come
of corners in this
from
game?
set corners? So in this game, there were 13. We took 13 corners. Obviously, no goal came from it. When you're talking about set plays, I can give you the expected goals from set plays. We had an expected goal of 0.82 on set plays, 1.69. Almost one. 1.69 in open play. So that was that's your expected goals right there. So 13 corners, that's a lot, and again,
I felt like we were given gifts constantly, but we didn't know how to open the damn box. It was just so annoying.
Well, the thing is that I remember, obviously I know that this stat is outdated. This was over 10 years ago, but I remember reading that corners don't generate more than 10% like goals. Like, so for every 10 corners you take, you're only going to score one. Now that's the one goal out of the 20, like the 100 that they've taken.
Or LAFC.
But I got pushed back from an actual analytical stat guy. And like, I have no idea where you got that stat from. And I was like, well, it didn't come from me, obviously. That came from somewhere else. I don't know if that stat changed, but when it comes to the Galaxy, I can guarantee that stat is pretty goddamn close, if not probably overvalued, because again, I don't really see that much coming from the corner kicks either. 13, none of them came from that. And I can go back and see how many is happening. I also wanted to go the entire league wide, because it seems like, and this is 100% accurate for the Galaxy, it seems that league-wide, the team with the most possession loses. And that's one thing I wanted to do this season that I didn't end up doing after week one.
Get on it, dude. Get on it, because you did bring that up. I was curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, but there's well, that means that there's already like 200 games that were played.
It's your fault.
I'll get on it, obviously. Yeah, it is my fault. But I'll get on it because I still am very curious to see what's going on. Obviously, I have to go back one by one to do this. But yeah, it does seem that that the team with less possession seems to be the winner here, or at the very least has a better expected goal. So I will probably I'll see if next week. I'm sure I'll have time. I had vacation. I probably should have done it. Who was the highest rated player in this game?
Wow. I mean, look at I don't know. Did Neil get a card? I don't even know. For me personally, Brugman was great. I thought Brugman was fantastic the entire game. So I'm gonna go with Brugman. I kind of lean for Neil because of the goal. But I'm gonna go with Brugman.
I sent you guys my player of the game, I think, during the game, and now I can't remember who it was. I think it was I think for me it was Gaston Brugman. I'm going back right now to see who my who my pick was, but I feel like it was Brugman.
It's gonna be Neil. He has a goal and no card.
No.
Was this the last week?
No, this was this week. Brugman
sure?
for me. Brugman was my highest rated. I had initially said Caligari as well, but then I think looking back, we figured out that Caligari actually didn't have such a great game.
He had an okay game. He just allowed he lost Liu Chu a lot.
He was all over the place. Like he was involved in a lot of stuff, but I think he made some key mistakes that would keep him from being the top rated. But I'll go Brugman.
I also would have said Brugman. It was Caligari.
Wow.
It was Caligari. Highest rated player, Caligari, 8.1. He was subbed off in the 90th. 65 out of 73 passes made. Only took one shot from like way out there, but guess what? It was on target, and Fry had to save it. 103 touches
There's
for
one
him.
shot there that you were looking for. There's one.
There, yeah, way out there.
I think
goal,
he caught it like all easy though.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Easy. That was right to him.
It was, as I said, Fry caught it. Wasn't like he did anything spectacular. An expected goal of 0.02. So obviously very, very, very low percentage shot there. 2 out of 3 accurate long balls. No crosses. 0 for 4 on crosses. 8 out of 9 ground duels won. Yeah, I know, right? So there was, I actually, again, got to remember, 21-year-old in a new league. I think he's doing fine, and I think he only gets better.
Overall, he's great. I think overall he's doing great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Aude come in and
exactly.
Because if it's anything close to what his production, he looks like a baby, but in a different way. He more Johnny Perez than Ricky Puig. But I feel like if it's anywhere close to the level that we're getting with Caligari, I think that's going to be a big improvement there.
Huge plus. And it takes Edwards off that back line, which again also a huge plus. But you're still missing that winger. And I think if there's
Edwards is going to be there to put in the hypnotized balls.
Yeah. So
if he keeps doing it, I'm fine. If he keeps doing it, it's okay.
All right. So second highest rated player. Are we sticking with Brugman here?
I'll stick with Brugman.
I'm gonna go with Neil.
Jalen Neal, 8.0, right behind Caligari at 8.1. So yes, good for him. Brugman didn't even make top 3, guys. Tyler Boyd got 7.7. I thought
Brugman did a really great job, but okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. 92 out of 103 passes completed, although I want to say, again, maybe a lot of little passes. I don't think it's he had the most completed passes the entire game, but nothing that broke down defenses. So again, he's still all over the field. I'm sure if you see his heat map along with Ricky Puig, he's probably going to be all over the place. 129 touches. 3 out of 3 tackles won, 6 out of 10 ground duels won. I don't think we can say enough praise about Brugman. I think he's right now probably through the first 5 games of the season, he's probably our best player. I don't think it's close right now. So there's that. Who's the worst rated player?
I want to
Klinsmann.
You're saying Klinsmann because of the goal. I'm gonna bypass Klinsmann because it probably is him because of the goal. I want to say Dejan because again, like David's saying, he was on an island. But I also, for fun's sake, I kind of want to put it on Martin because he lost his shit because he lost it on the sideline and got a yellow card.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So there.
And then Lozano went over to console him after the game.
Yeah.
You didn't see it in the broadcast. He was like, I've never seen Martin like freak out. Like he looked like a Muppet. He was like
a Muppet.
It was like he was losing his shit. I was like, whoa.
All right. So
I know I said Klinsmann, but again, if we're bypassing that, then I'll probably say Raheem Edwards.
I would have said Joveljic as well. I don't think he really did much of anything. I didn't think he really looked that dangerous. I would have said Joveljic here. Officially, it is Klinsmann, 5.3.
Yeah.
So there's that. But if we're talking about field players, it is, and this one's a little asterisk here because he only played one half. It was Memo Rodriguez. 5.9, but he was subbed off at halftime.
That's kind of unfair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a little off. It's like no different than having someone come in at halftime and
I thought he was fine.
Kind of lower.
Who came in for Martinez? Was it Judd?
Who came in for who's Martinez?
Memo. Sorry, Rodriguez.
I was
thinking about Martinez, Rodriguez. Yeah.
It was Judd. Yeah, he came in on a halftime. Judd had a 6.4, by the way. So, still higher than the exact same amount of time was still higher than Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Second
Martinez.
Rodriguez Martinez.
Yeah.
Second I would go with Dejan.
It's actually a tie between Edwards and Cáceres.
I was right with my fun pick.
Yeah,
I was right with my pick as well.
I didn't think Edwards did that bad, actually, but okay.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because in the games that we thought he did bad, he was the highest rated defender, and the game we're like, oh, he's like whatever,
yeah.
He's the lowest
but it's because
rated.
He does the padding.
I feel like
remember he does that padding that like
yeah.
So, anyways,
yeah. He gives it away. He makes up for it. Gives it away. He makes up for it.
It almost sounds like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song.
Give it away. Yeah, give it away. Give it away now.
You didn't have to do that. You worked so hard.
I know. I didn't have to.
You could have just left it. You could have just left it as a joke.
I'm so tired. I am so tired. But I think also with Raheem, what's helping him with padding his stat here is the hypnotizing ball as well. We really should have made hypnotizing the word of the day.
It's unfortunate,
not the other word.
It's unfortunate those he doesn't get an assist. I mean, I know Lewis is saying it's not a pass, but anyways, it's unfortunate.
Sure,
it is what it is. Okay, guys. So we ran through that. Let's talk about the post game. Greg Vanney goes off.
I believe this. This is in the silhouette. This is in the silhouette. This is not in the silhouette. This is a handball. When Dejan takes one off of his chest and the referee is 25 yards back making the call from behind the play, what is he doing? Mm-hmm. That's 2 games ago. The last game, this is a ball that's shot. It hits under the arm and goes that way, is a handball. That is not the silhouette. 3 games in a row, these guys don't know what handball is. It's getting to be obscene, honestly.
Goes off in the post game. Hasn't come out yet, but he's probably going to get fined. Pretty sure he will get fined for his comments.
It was funny. It was hilarious.
So
I'm not a chicken.
Controversy happening here. Greg Vanney, obviously, frustration in how things have played out in the first 5 games of the season, and criticizing the refs, talking about how 3 different games. It's not like it all happened in one game. 3 different games where they got cheated out of either a penalty or a goal. Dejan's handball when he scored against Vancouver, which would have been the game winner. The non-existent penalty. I'm sorry, non-existent penalty. The non-penalty call that happened against Seattle. Portland. And then
that was one against Portland.
And there was another handball against Portland. Now, so obviously, Greg Vanney criticizing the refs, basically saying you have one job to do and you're not doing it.
They have VAR. They have the ability. They're the only entity in the entire game who gets a redo. None of us else get a redo. They get a redo. And 3 times they can't get it right.
Now, for what it's worth, I think Greg Vanney is correct in saying that, dude, you have one job. You have all these tools to help you get the call right, and you still get the call wrong. So in that sense, I agree with Greg Vanney here, okay? Because it is kind of interesting that, like, dude, you do have VAR. You do have different eyes. You know, you have technology that help you make the correct call, and yet you still fuck it up somehow. Here's the thing. In this particular game, because we'll talk about the non-call of the handball against Seattle, because that's basically prompted the rant. I personally did not think it was a penalty. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, if you're debating it, where half the people are saying yes it was and the other half is saying no, that means it wasn't clear. And ultimately, it is up to the ref discretion how he saw it and how he interprets it. No, well, it's not even just that it's clear and obvious. If like it's not even one of those.
Said it right.
It's not even
the
one of those
discretion
things.
of the ref. It's the way.
And
It's the way the ref translates it. For me, I thought it was a penalty. I mean, if you can't. I mean, you can't be called. I mean, it's not the same ref, of course, every game. But I mean, if you're calling a penalty on and I swear I'll play the replay. The shoulder of Dejan, it did not hit his chest. Vanny was saying that it did not. It hit the shoulder, and Dejan pushed his shoulder up, which is to me, it's fine. That's not a handball. It's not an arm. But if you're gonna call that a handball and then call your arms out completely, but like acting like you're not, but you're not because you have your
moved toward it. By the way,
like come on, dude. Like,
but the way so the way I'm interpreting this, and again, it's I think in this particular case. It's really hard to say it's black and white where there is a right answer, there's a wrong answer, because there's so many people on both sides of the argument that whatever the ref decides,
it's not consistent within the league right now. That's the thing. It's not consistent within the league.
Well, I mean, I also agree with that, but the way I'm interpreting this is, look, he has his hands behind his back, right? And you can say the way Greg Vanny was demonstrating, I'm like, he had his hands on his side. I'm like, dude, the guy did not have his hands on his hips.
I know.
It's not that much of a difference.
It's not that much of a difference. His elbows were out.
He chicken winged that. Yeah, elbows is out, and he moves his elbow toward where the flight of the ball, which to me is a clear handball.
There's been a difference.
Hold on. There's been a difference, and this is why you need to watch the YouTube version of our show, because I'm gonna give an example. What we saw Mavinga do, so Greg Vanny's doing this, right?
Which is
he's got his hands on his side, right? Which is I'm a little teapot, whatever. That's a little exaggerated. Mavinga had his hands behind his back,
which isn't too different.
But he does this to stick his arm
and he angles his body
in
towards the ball.
I have seen that call where a defender does this and the ball hits his hand as it's up against his body within his frame.
If his hand wasn't there, it still would have hit the chest.
Called a handball. I've seen a defender do this, not even see the ball, and hit his hand, and they called a handball. When you look at it in the way that it's still within the silhouette of the player is what they're calling it. Here's the thing. We are over, this is a huge debate, and we're complaining and we're making an excuse about the refs over a potential draw.
Right, exactly. Well, at the end of all of this,
potential draw, a penalty that somebody would have had to score. Who scored that penalty?
Let me. Well, sure. Yeah. That's a different thing. Let me make an argument here. I would not call this an excuse, because if you actually listen to the full post comments of Greg Vanny, he does rip the team apart, and he does talk about all of the lacking potential play and our issues throughout even the last few games, our transitions, how slow we are. He really rips into this team.
We didn't always hit the right crosses or at the right time. Sometimes we took an extra touch, lost a little time, then try to play across when I think we need to whip it in a little bit faster.
You have to figure out ways to create chances, to score goals, to play within that. It just, for me, I felt like when we got into those final actions, we weren't fast enough as a group, but also on the surface to be as clear about our final actions as we would like to be and need to be. The game slowed down too much when it needed to get faster. We needed to release shots, and we looked for an extra pass. We did a lot of things where we lost time and speed, which makes it difficult to create clear chances. So that's one thing that we can continue to improve upon.
I think on a couple plays in the first half, he dropped a little bit ahead of everybody else, which kept him onside, which may have led to the first goal. Sometimes I think in the attacking transition, it's too easy for us to just kind of secure the ball and go into possession, when in the attacking transition, we need to sometimes be looking to try to attack fast out of that.
He's speaking correctly of how bad this team is doing. He literally says the exact same things we say on this podcast. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that gets heightened and amplified is just these little snippets, and then everybody's like, oh, excuses. And it's like, he's not making an excuse. He is angry. He is upset, because in overall, all these games, it's kind of BS. Like, dude, what the hell? This is frustrating.
So look, we're saying all this stuff for a potential draw. Same thing in the Portland game. Yeah, maybe we would have got 3 points. Again, that's I think the game was 0-0 at that point, right?
Did we but here's my counter argument to that. It started with Vancouver, right? The handball that I agree was not a handball on Joveljic that cost us 3 points. Should have been a win. But we said leading up to the game, and then we mentioned it again after the game. Let's just say that it would have counted. You squeaked by Vancouver. Leading up to that game, and we all agreed, like, we can't just squeak by Vancouver. It had to be dominant. It had to be like no mistake about it.
3-1,
like
whatever.
Yes, it had to be something that made a statement, and that wasn't the case. Even if we win that game 2-1, that wasn't a statement win. We didn't play well. We haven't played well in any of those games. Granted that even if we were improving as those games went on, we didn't play well regardless. So to say that we were robbed
against Portland,
right?
Going up against Portland again, we know Portland right now is not a good team,
right? So
it wouldn't be enough to get by 2-1.
Right. So even if you're saying like, okay, and again, maybe at the end of the season, it changes because, dude, you need your points. You need the seeding. You need, or playoffs. Like, doesn't matter how you win, just freaking win. I don't care if you're winning ugly. You can win ugly the whole way through MLS Cup. It doesn't matter. But during the season, you better look, or at least show signs of a good team. And right now, this team is not that. So to be bailed out and saying, well, we should have got 3 points here and we should have got 3 points there, but the ref took this away. I'm like, dude, but you're not playing well. You didn't necessarily deserve the win either. You're getting bailed out. So yes, it is an excuse. It's one thing to say we deserved that win. We were the better side. We were cheated out of a win. That's something else. And even then, I would still argue, again, your offense really isn't there yet. And you can say, yes, we're missing Chicharito. We are 100% missing Chicharito right now.
We should not, in year 4 of that guy's contract, we should not be this dependent on Chicharito.
Yes, pretty much. Because you know that obviously in year 4, you know how injury prone he is, how, he's getting older, obviously. So it's just, and everyone praised Dejan. Remember, well, Dejan should be the starter. Chicharito shouldn't be starting. It should be Dejan.
We've seen it. Now we've seen it.
Yeah. So there it is. So don't go off and blame me.
We've been warning.
Like, we're missing our DP. Like, no, we're not. Like, dude, the same people I'm sure that were saying that Dejan should be starting are the ones that are complaining that, we don't have Chicharito, so we shouldn't be blaming the team for not scoring goals.
And
dude, we're not playing well. There's no
by the way, our other DP is Douglas Costa, which we, up until, the 5 minutes that we saw him in this game, we thought it isn't worth being on the field.
Yeah.
So
it is again, it's frustration. So the fans have to blame somebody else because again, it's some fans don't want to take accountability either. Like, dude, like it's just crazy to me. But the fact of the matter is you're not playing well, and don't look for the refs to blame in your lack of
or to bail you out of a bad performance
for your lack of performing well. And I think even Herculez Gomez said it, like, dude, like Vanny has a point, but it doesn't improve your play. It doesn't mean that you're playing well. It's just you would have been bailed out. So, and again, 3 points is 3 points, but dude, nothing's happening in March. Granted that there'll be points in the bank and it helps. But
I think it's going to help. Well. I think it's going to be missed big time. I think these points.
Well, obviously, because at the end of the day, even if you are improving game by game, it doesn't change the fact that you're still winless in 5 and you're dropping points. Not only are you dropping points, you're dropping points at home. So and I've said this several times throughout pretty much every year we've done the podcast. 3 points in March is the exact same as 3 points in September. So you go into decision day and like, I need these amount of points. Like, well, shit, those games that you should have won when you thought it didn't matter. Well, guess what? They matter now, don't they? So yeah, you're dropping a lot of points leaving a lot of points on the table. And again, there's still a lot of season to go.
There's
Your
definitely a
season's
lot
not
of
over
season to
yet.
go, and also, I mean, again, MLS isn't. We're not the only
A lot
one
of things
that's
change.
horrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. And who you are,
I mean,
in March is not who you are in September. So
8th place is 6 points. It's 3 points away. It's
right.
like,
again, the
Well,
season.
and think about like, okay, let's say those calls did go our way, so we get we get 3
2
points
games,
in
maybe.
Vancouver,
we get
maybe
3
Portland.
points in Vancouver. We get a point. No, we get 3 points in
Portland.
Portland, and 1 point here.
So we would be.
I mean,
tied
7
with
points
Austin.
is a lot.
We'd be in 7th place. We would be with Austin.
Yeah.
Right
So
now.
I mean,
I mean,
is that it's better, but it's still not.
Dallas has 8
where we
points.
should
San
be.
Jose has 10 points. I mean, the top is St. Louis. It's 15. I mean, it's not like not like a runaway yet.
well, 15 points to 0. That's a runway,
3.
dude. Oh, to 3. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is a big difference.
Yeah, but I'm
And
talking
you're
about
going to need a lot.
St. Louis. But I mean, everybody else from 3rd down is 11
Right.
points, and like that's not a big run yet.
I mean, well, again, there's a lot of seasons, so yeah, it's not a big run yet. But yeah, you need to stop bleeding points. Again, I'm not gonna throw away the season yet. It's still too early. At the moment, I still ask the question, who can you beat? And right now, I'm not seeing it, but I am seeing improvement. Obviously, the addition of Jewel of Aude is going to be. Obviously, should be a boost.
And if when he finally comes back,
and when Chicharito comes back, obviously that is also, I think.
But that would bother me so much if suddenly when Chicharito comes back, boom, we're like firing on all cylinders and everything is working, because then it becomes very easy to take the Galaxy out of contention.
I don't think
no,
so.
because that'll allow more
dude.
space for Brugman, allow more space for Puig.
Yeah, I don't think that's
better.
the case. What we have to understand, whether people like it or not, is that Chicharito is a presence there. His IQ is high. It's really, really high, especially when you compare it to both.
To be honest, it doesn't even matter that. Just him being there.
Yes, exactly. I think the presence is enough. I agree with Bobby there. I think the presence.
If teams are able to mark Ricky Puig out of a game, you don't think they can do that with Chicharito?
No. Because now you have to.
But if they do, then Puig is free, and then other players are free. That's the thing. Like, we need someone else that's high value, high spotlight for them to focus on. So then we have more space to roam.
I totally see what you're saying, David. In that if you mark Puig and you take him out of the game, there's no way to get the ball to Chicharito. So I totally understand that. But I think just the dynamic of him being there changes the minds of the defense. I think it really does, even if it is slightly altered. It's enough. I think it's enough to do so. Obviously,
it's
we
enough
have
to
seen
change what we have
Chicharito
right
be
now.
left.
Number one,
if he
right now
another injury at some point, then that's it.
Then we're back to Judd
exactly.
and Dayon. That's it. And then we're back to that.
Right, and then again, that's the excuse. Well, Chicharito wasn't there. I'm like, no, dude. So.
Right. So why make the excuse now? Like they need to figure it out now.
There is no excuse. No.
Without
Chicharito. But there hasn't been an excuse about Chicharito not being there. There hasn't been. So
I agree. I agree that the offense suffers, but it's not an excuse to say, well, you cannot alter your plan. You cannot adjust, because again, good teams adjust. It hurts, obviously, but they adjust. They don't make excuses. Okay, we obviously don't have this. What's plan B? And then you go from there and you improve. That's a winning mentality. That's where you're saying to yourself, dude, we're going to find a way to win. Not, well, we don't have our starter players, so I'm just going to go give up. Like,
yeah, and that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening with us. We're not giving up because Chicharito's not there.
The Galaxy organization isn't, but a lot of the fans already are making that excuse one way or the other. So,
but I'm talking about on the field performance. I don't care about what the comments are. I'm talking about the on-field performance.
And that is on Vanny. That is on Vanny saying, like, dude.
But I mean, he's doing what he can. I mean,
yes,
it's unfortunate.
Yes, of course, 100%. All right, so we have Houston next week. Again, a place that we don't normally do well. Although the last time we were there, we did win. We did win in Decision Day last year in Houston. So there's that. But again, different team. Didn't think it would be, but yes, it is a completely different team. Houston to believe they have 7 points, I believe. So they're in 8th place in the Western Conference. The Galaxy 3 points, 12th place in the Western Conference. And I said before, if you don't win in Houston, you go into the LAFC game winless through 6, more than likely will be winless through 7. That would be practically almost 2 months without a victory. Not good at all. So the Galaxy really, yeah.
Worst ever start?
I think so. So the Galaxy really, obviously it's not must win and that your season depends on it, but
this is a must win, like not a moral, but like a
morale.
Your morale. Yes, that's what I mean. Morale.
Yeah, your morale boost. Because I think I had mentioned it earlier in this. I'm not sure if it was in this podcast or in Balls and Beers, but if it had to be in this one. Because if you're going winless in 7 after losing to LAFC, that pressure is definitely gonna
deflate. It deflates a team. It deflates and puts pressure on everybody. And I think if you go winless in 8, I don't think that there's any way to not say that Greg Vanney is on the hot seat at that point. And as we all know, there's one more trump card to play at this point to take the pressure off of Chris Klein, and we know that what that card is, and I feel like Greg Vanney knows what that card is, and that's partly why he is looking for scapegoats throughout the in stuff. So
yeah, so it's well, it's the Galaxy, guys. What am I going to say? We haven't reported anything really great in. Well, pretty much since we started this podcast.
Well, all I can say is moving into Houston. I mean, this is a game that we possibly can win, but it's a difficult game for the way that we've been playing. I mean, if we're talking about we've been saying, incremental advances for this team, getting better slightly in every game. I mean, I feel that they can do something in this one. They just need to figure something out to get that finishing going. Because they need to get these balls in the back of the net.
Would you guys feel better if they went into Houston and they really put in a gritty 1-0 win performance versus going into Houston and putting 4 goals up on Houston? What would you guys feel better about?
To me, it doesn't matter. I thought last game, actually, even at home game, was pretty gritty. I think that's a lot of what Galaxy does. They just can't get anything in with that grit. They're constant, like we were just talking about earlier on. It was, it's always like a mess.
If you went into, if you're giving me different opponents, I would probably feel differently. If you're giving me the option, which one you feel better about? For both. Okay, then it's the 4 goals, 100%.
You don't think that speaks more to Houston just not being good?
In this situation,
then at least we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Then we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be annihilating the teams that aren't that good. We played against Vancouver, they're not that good. We didn't do that. We played against Portland, they're not that good, and we didn't do that. So we played against Kansas City, they're not good, and they practically did it to us, except that they couldn't score.
Yeah, this is right.
So no. So if you're saying that Houston's a really bad team and you can squeak by 1-0, no, I wouldn't be happy with that. It has to be a 4-0 match where I'd be like, oh, cool.
I didn't say squeak by either. I said put in a 1-0 gritty performance. No, there's a difference. There's a difference between putting in a hard-fought 1-0 performance versus squeaking out a 1-0 performance.
No, I agree with that.
There's a big difference.
Where they should with that.
You are 100%, but
win.
But 4-0.
But what
it's 4-0.
Reality is the gritty win, maybe getting a squeaky goal in right now.
But if you're going into Cincinnati and you get a hard-fought 1-0 victory, I think that would be more impressive than a 4-0 victory against Houston.
Oh, definitely.
But if you're giving me,
definitely.
But we're going to Houston. We're not playing Cincinnati.
I'm just saying.
I get what Luis is saying.
Okay, if we go to Madrid and play Madrid to a 1-0, we got a lucky penalty. Oh, yeah, I feel really great about that. But no, we're going to Houston. And what I think that this, again, I'm a big believer in this one. What I think the team needs is sometimes to kind of get the engine moving is put together a good performance, get a win, whether that's a 1-0 win or a 4-0 drubbing. Although I do think that you drub a team 4-0 when you're winless and have had issues scoring goals, it speaks more to the fact that Houston fell apart than it does to the Galaxy actually being a good team. If Houston puts up a fight,
it depends on what
and we're able to get the 1-0 win, and we're able to get the 1-0 win, but we're not going to get that advantage against other good teams, Lewis. If Houston puts up a good fight and we're able to grind out a 1-0 win or a 2-0 win or whatever, a 1-goal win, let's call it like that, then I feel better. I think that the team would feel better about themselves going in and saying, okay, now we know we've earned the result and we fought hard for it, to both on the offensive side and on the defensive side. Now let's build on that, versus a 4-0 win could just be an anomaly, like the Vancouver game. Like, we don't know.
But I guess it depends on how
Vancouver feel better after beating Montreal 5-0, being a man down. Montreal being a man down.
Good.
I don't know.
They feel good. I mean, the game before that,
but do you
they feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, that all depends on the display of performance that they actually play within the game. Of course, if it's a 4-0 game that's like an own goal and then a penalty and like things like that, that's different. If it's a run of play, incredible passing, all that stuff, that's different. Then they can build some positive confidence on top of that, because they're like, look, we can actually do this now. I mean, even in the last game, there was some good little moments where there was some quick touch passes between each other, just little one-touch passes go up to the opposite field. So, like, I mean, they are slightly getting better, but we're not there yet. But yes, I'm just saying it just depends on the type of way that they win.
I mean, I don't disagree that a 4-0 could be an anomaly, especially with this team right now. Like, hey, where did that come from, right? Like, you probably won't ever see that again. But you can also spin it that even if you get a gritty 1-0 win, that could be just the same anomaly as well. Hey, we've been winless in 7. Where did we pick up a victory and then just go on another 4-game losing streak? So you can spin it that way as well. But I understand the whole, you need that gritty win. And we've said that every season since 2017, and it has never happened. So you know what? I want the goddamn blowout victory. So that gritty win,
I think you're gonna have to wait a few.
Jump-started
You're gonna
everything.
have to wait a few games, Lewis.
It's not happening. Yeah. The blowout is not happening. 100%, it is not happening. But if it does happen, I mean, yes, it could be an anomaly. But at the same time, it's like, dude, if you're playing against a bad team, maybe you finally did what you were supposed to do. And that's where I'm saying, it's like, dude, you can say
the team fell apart too.
It's like when I said it in Balls and Beers, like St. Louis is 5-0 against every non-playoff team. Great, that means you did what you were supposed to do, right? So,
oh no, I mean, with St. Louis, it's more of a surprise. I mean, they're an expansion team that has no big stars.
I agree. I agree that we all had them losing,
but okay.
No, I agree that we all had them losing those games. Excuse me, but at the same time, if we didn't think that they were as bad, right? I mean, I'm sorry. If we thought they were worse than what they're actually showing, we think, oh, maybe they're not as bad. Then you're saying, well, they're beating the team that they're supposed to beat, but still losing to the teams that they probably aren't supposed to beat. And we already saw it with Minnesota, and chances are we're going to see it against Seattle. So maybe it is evening out where it's like, hey, St. Louis isn't horrible, but they're not good either. So there is a balance there. And right now, the Galaxy are not a good team. So at least at the moment, they're not a good team. And if they are, I don't think they would be losing to Portland and, not losing, but you would be able to beat Portland and Vancouver and Kansas City, but you're not. So,
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think some people thought Portland was going to do a little bit better. But yeah, the other two, yeah, for sure. Any other last words, guys, for the end of this episode?
No, I think that's it, at least for me.
Yeah,
all right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode 292. I'm saying goodbye with David and Lewis.
Bye. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Goodbye.